Alright, hello gamers, and welcome to a new PA commentary. It has been a long time, but yeah, here I am. I'm trying to get at least something out of my gaming addiction, so I wonder why not make another commentary of this wonderful game I played today versus Basic. It was a very interesting game. Obviously, I'm not playing right now because it's absolutely impossible to talk and play at the same time. The amount of mental energy it requires is too high. But yeah, so now I'm in my editing software, and I'll have all my energy available to be the most interesting caster ever in the history of ever. So first thing we can notice is when you scout, there's a few informations you want to be paying attention to. The first one obviously is which are your opponent's first two factories. It would be nice to stay along with your scout and try to know what his third factory will be. For example, like on large maps, some players like to go vehicle double air. And then this way you can anticipate that your opponent is probably going to have an air lead and is going to try to play aggressively around that. But something else that you have to be paying attention is the amount of PGens that the commander is building. Because usually when your scout arrives at the enemy's base, the enemy commander should be starting with his third PGen, and if he has a delay, like if you can notice that his commander build order is later than yours, it probably means that he boosted a Pelican and is going to do a spark drop, which is why you can see me right now scouting around. It's because I'm trying to find the Pelican. But also sometimes it can just be like an idle commander or a suboptimal factory, like a very bad factory placement, like the commander had to walk for 2 or 3 seconds. It can be really anything, but against good players, you never know. Turns out I don't think he did. I mean, he did some Pelican drops later on, but I'm not sure it's his initial Pelican. But yeah. So as you can see on this map, we both opened up with vehicle factories. This is because of the yeah, see, like, okay, no, this is what I'm talking about. But since we both started with a vehicle factory, the Inferno drop is going to be your best option. You can also drop an ant to try and snipe a fab, but it's like really bad because ants die really quickly. So yeah, that's actually the reassuring part when you see that your opponent is opening with vehicle air, is that his drops are way less menacing in the first 2 minutes or so. Afterwards, like, infernal drops can be very annoying. I mean, I guess he could have actually forget what I just said. Infernal drops are super painful because I also do them sometimes, and you just have to drop them on top of the fab, and the fab just literally die, and then you could maybe even get a whole factory gone. But yeah, so on this map we both open with vehicle, despite the map being quite large. Usually when the map is large, you want to go for bot fabs because bot fabs are faster. But on this map, the metal patches are quite dense and not too spread far apart from each other, so you can get away with vehicle fabs, and since vehicle fabs are much more efficient at building, they build faster, but they also consume less power. Then yeah, it's best to go for a vehicle because since strikers are so strong right now, they kind of beat doxes 1-1, even though they're slightly slower. But the main advantage is that at any point you can transition into a heavy build where you spam strikers, and then at the mid game you just stop making strikers and go full ants and infernos, which is also very good on this kind of map because there's a lot of CSG. So it's basically going to come down to big T2 pushes, which T2 vehicles are really strong at. So that's kind of the plan, right? The plan is expand with vehicles, secure at least one lane, go T2 vehicles and death push him. Speaking of T2, as you can see on the bottom right, we are reaching 7 minutes, which is usually the time at which you want to start your T2. Here, since the map is very large and air is going to be important, I went for an extra air factory. You can see I have 5 T1 factories in my base, but usually if you build 4 and if you are on a good timing, you should start your T2. Like 6 minute 30 is like very good, and 7 minutes is like good. And then the second your T2 is done, you want to boost it with everything you have, like the comm and 2, 3, 4 fabs, depending on how many you had to build them. And because like the initial T2 push is one of the best opportunity in the whole game to create a lead, because if your opponent is late or if he opened with a T2 fab, or there's just so much room for mistakes by your opponent that you want to make sure you give yourself the opportunity to punish it by having a decent T2 timing and yeah, I guess scouting preemptively where you want to push, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it really depends, because on large maps, it's sometimes going to be better to just straight up start with a T2 fab before doing any T2 units. Like, okay, okay, what am I doing here? I'm trying to hover bomb an entire factory with 5 bumblebees, but okay, forget that. Like, okay, here you see I control click a T2 fab, which is actually, I think the best thing you can do, because the question is, how much delay are you creating in your tempo? Because T2 factory is like, fuck, I don't remember. Either 2k, I think it's 4k. A T2 fab is 4,500 metal. Sorry, a T2 factory is 4,500 metal. And a T2 fab is like 2,000. I just saw it at the bottom left. So that's like 6,000 metal that you're investing in non-offensive units. So, and that's gonna take like 3 minutes, like 2.5 minutes, because now my T2 fab just started building and we're at 9.5 minutes and I started at 7. So like within these 2.5 minutes, and it's more actually, because your T2 fab is going to build T2 metal extractors, which are super expensive. Like that's something you have to know about T2 extractors, is like a T1 metal extractor generates 7 metal per second and it costs like 150. So after 20 seconds of existing, your T2 max, your T1 max already paid back for himself. T2 maxes, they generate like, I think 12 metal and they cost like 1,000. I don't really know, but I remember clearly that the amount of time you have to wait before your T2 max pays for himself is like 30 seconds to 1 minute, which is drastically longer. So if you count the fact that you need 2.5 minutes to get your T2 factory up and your T2 fab, and then another 1.5 minutes to build the mechs and wait for him to pay back for himself, you're looking at like almost 5 minutes, like more 4 or 5 minutes of non-offensive resource draining. So within those 5 minutes, if your opponent is just spamming T1 factories, or if he's rushing the slammers or something, it can be very dangerous. I don't know if you're hearing my fucking cat running around and yelling. He's got the zoomies, which probably means he just took a big fat dump. Because that's what he does when he shits, I guess. I don't know. But so basically, if you go for the T2 econ, your economy is going to skyrocket very fast, because like T2 maxes are OP, but for the first 4 minutes, your opponent potentially has a massive offensive advantage. So like on this map, I'm confident I can start with a T2 fab, because I mean, I've played 6 games against basic, and every single one of these games he's gone for T2 vehicle. and T2 vehicle is quite slow. So by these 5, if he rushes levelers straight away, then by the time the units arrive to my base, I'll have had time to stack up my own army, so it's fine. But if the map is closer, like this is a almost 600 radius map, but if it's like a 300 radius map or something, it can be definitely very dangerous to open up with a T2 fab, because then if the guy builds slammers, which slammers are very fast walking, they have very fast walk speed. If the guy builds slammers and rushes your base, you're just dead. You're just gonna die. So this is kind of what would happen. Like you can see that this kind of illustrates what I'm talking about, even though I do think that he also opened with a T2 fab. But this doesn't really matter because I also have T2 units at his base, so it's kind of even. Yeah, this like whenever your T2 fab gets out, the game really kind of shifts a lot, and this is what a few players at high elo kind of complain about PA, is that like once T2 econ starts being a thing, it doesn't really matter anymore how you played the map. Like say your opponent completely outplayed you in the first half of the game, and like he has 70% of the map under his control, like he's got proxies everywhere, etc. But you manage to rush your T2 and get out the T2 fab, and the other guy is kind of overcommitting to offensive units, which is a mistake I'm doing most of the time, because often I kind of overestimate my how much ahead I'm in a game, and I'm like, okay, might as well just end it. You know, I'm not gonna let this game drag out for 30 more minutes if my opponent is just a no-brainer. But then the other guy just pops a T2 fab, and 3 minutes later he has double my econ, even though I still have more than half the map under my control. And that is because T1 mechs really don't produce a lot of economy compared to T2 mechs. So like for the first like 10 to 15 minutes, PA is really a game about map control, map awareness, scouting. And then once you get the T2 fab, it's really different. It's like, it's more about just macro, make sure you don't do any stupid mistake, like forget to like don't crash on power, keep your T2 fab alive. And then it's more about, I don't know, army comp, trying to sneak in. Like I don't really know what to think of this kind of, because like this game is a really good illustration of what I'm talking about, because like for the next, like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, it will just be like me and Basic sending huge armies at each other, and it's like you're not really doing anything tactical, because like I right now I have like 5k army, like no, this is 10k army. This army is 10k metal, and my rating was quite good actually, because I scouted, I saw he had very little control in this area of the map, so I'm kind of sneaking in his base. But then in the end I'm taking control of an area of the map that doesn't matter, because he just lost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe like 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. Sorry, sorry. He just lost like 7 T1 mexes to a single raid, which before T2 timing is like, if you lose 7 mechs to a raid at like 10 minutes, you're done. Like your game is over. But now it's like whatever, because he has so much T2 mechs in his base. He just dropped his econ, like 10% of his metal income just dropped because of this raid. And like it's the same on my part. Like my econ just skyrocketed. I'm almost at 500. Like, I should have watched how much I had before my T2 fab, but it's like ridiculous. And so at some point you just like get one of your bot factories to only build fabs, and you just periodically like this, you know, like he has like fucking 5 fabs suiciding into my tower because he just gives area. He just builds fabs on cooldown and gives them area order of just build metal on the entire planet, which is why on very long games sometimes you will see like completely retarded situation, like you're in your base and there's a T2 fab from the other guy in your base because he's just like trying to build some metal. And so it's just that, and then like random pushes. So then if you really wanna like, if you really try harding, this is the stage of the game where you're actually trying to get a snipe, which is why I build like anti-air turrets everywhere around my base, because I don't want, like, I'm obviously like hard winning this game, and I don't want this guy to just drop 5 vanguards in my base and I die, because I just so happened to be looking somewhere else when he did his thing. So either at this stage of the game, either you go for a snipe, so like a big locust run, or a vanguard drop, or a teleporter, like you drop a combat fab and you build a TP behind his base, or I don't know, a unit cannon, whatever, maybe. What else can you do? A bumblebee, you can snipe his comm with like 50 bumblebees, which is not the most optimal way to do it, but it's fine. Manhattan, maybe you can sneak a Manhattan with a anti-radar unit, the new anti-radar unit that no one uses, or T2 air, I don't know. Like, it's really like, what are you supposed to do? Either you go full try-hard mode, like, by the way, this guy has a storm. What are you doing? Didn't see the fucking storm there. Okay, anyway. So yeah, either you go full try-hard and you go for a snipe, which I hate snipes, because that's actually, snipes are actually the most efficient way to play PA, and that's a part of the game design I really hate, because it's not a, how do I put it? It's like very cheesy. Yeah, okay, the game crashed at this point, so I'm just gonna stop recording and hop back to whenever I reconnected. Yeah, okay, so we're back. So yeah, either you go for snipes, which is, it really doesn't feel rewarding when you finish a game with a snipe, because it's not like if you picture a strategy game, like, I don't know, like chess, like that's the perfect example. There isn't anything sneaky you can do in chess. Like, what I mean is, when you hit a snipe in PA, you didn't outplay your opponent. You didn't like abuse one of his mistake or read, like, you didn't have better game knowledge than him and happen to figure out the best way to punish one of his mistakes at the right time. You just did a move at a moment where he wasn't looking, which is something you barely have any info about, like, because it takes like 5 seconds for your air to reach the center of his base whenever they enter radar vision, and like, if you just have to hope that his air is going to be like, the thing is, air positioning is too random. It's just too random most of the time to be able to like effectively outplay with a snipe. Like, a snipe is most of the time is just going to be luck. So and I think a lot of high elo players kind of feel the same way. I don't like doing snipes. I think it's boring. It doesn't feel rewarding. It doesn't feel like, when someone kills you with a snipe, you don't feel like he did a good job, a better job than you. And I wanna beat my opponent because I'm better. Like, speaking of snipes, this guy is building a teleporter in my base. Like, I think I saw his Manhattan. I remember seeing his Manhattan. I just didn't see it right now in the replay because I was so invested in complaining about the game balance. But you know, this is what I mean. Like, okay, let's actually rewind and see how comes I actually saw his teleporter. Okay, so I just went back in the replay. You're not gonna see it, but I just went back and looked like how comes his, because like if he lands a TP where he was building it, which would have taken like 10 seconds, he would have won. He would have killed my calm, okay? Like the only reason I managed to counter his TP play is because he built an orbital factory. And I was like, okay, I'm going to also build an orbital factory so I can get global vision, right? And because I had T1 factories queued up with another fab, a random fab, okay, has factories, T1 factories, like T1 vehicle factories queued up underneath my T2 bot, I was like, with my comm, I was like, oh fuck, I don't have space to build the orbital factory, so I had to move my camera up to build these orbital factories where they just are, and therefore I just saw one of my shellers shoot in my base, and I was like, what the fuck? And I see that he's shooting on something I have radar vision on. So if any of these things hadn't happened, like Lamau, by the way, this guy's driving a nuke towards me. He's just gonna nuke his own base. Like, okay, if the sheller hadn't shot, if I hadn't had a bunch of T1 factories queued up underneath my comm, which is where I wanted to build my orbital factories initially. If none of these had happened, and I just so happened to be looking somewhere else for the next 10 seconds, this guy would have killed me. And I'm absolutely crushing him this game. Like, no BM. Okay, basic. He beat me like 6 times in a row this week. But like, I'm winning this game hard. And there's nothing I can do to like sniping is not like a tactic. It's just like a random flip. And that's why I hate doing them. Unless I already know that the game is over and I'm gonna win. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna snipe him just to make the game end. Like right now I'm building worms because I'm like, okay, might as well snipe his comm because I know this game is over. I might just spend 15 more minutes building a nuke or a unit cannon, but I'd rather just end it now and see like, okay, like this is kind of bad because he's just dropping 2 vanguards and he's hoping that he's going to be able to kill my comm. Like this is actually funny. Oh, and I lose my worms because of this. But anyway, you see what I mean? I was just looking somewhere else, and this guy just dropped fucking 3 vanguards in my base. And if my comm was like, again, for some random reason, I just decided that my comm was going to boost the T2 factory, but he could have been like building the orbital factories, and he would have been dead. Because that's where the drop came from. So it's kind of cancer. I think late game PA has many issues. Most of them come from the Pelicans and the T2 mechs. Like these things need redesign or something. But yeah, I realize I spent most of this game complaining about PA when the game was actually very good, very entertaining. The nukes in base were very funny. But yeah, that's kind of my hot take on the current state of PA. Maybe next time I will try to not be complaining about a topic. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of it's in my DNA, right? I'm like a gamer. Gamers have to complain 24/7. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed, guys. Have fun. Have fun? What the fuck? Good luck, have fun, I guess, for your games. And see you next time. Bye.